Within an area, within a country, within a region, there can be regional or national language overlap. What is a taco? Are you ready for this? About 50 years ago, I know I'm old. You don't need to tell me I'm old. I already know this. Of course, I am from Southern California. I know what a taco is. But I would visit my family in Buffalo, New York. And when I was a kid, 50 years ago, one time we went to the Cattaraugus County Fair. This is 50 years ago, keep this in mind. And the Mormons, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, had a booth at the Cattaraugus County Fair. The title of their booth was what you see written right there. What is a taco? Because people did not eat Mexican food in Western New York back then. There were no Mexican restaurants whatsoever. So I sidled up there and had my taco. It was pretty bad. But at the same time, they were introducing this thing because people did not know what it was. Why wouldn't somebody in Western New York 50 years ago know what a taco is? And at the same time in Southern California, everybody knew what a taco was. Why would that be? Well, take a look at this map. This is percentage of Hispanic or Latino or Latinx, whatever terminology you want to use for this, of the population. The darker that orange-brown, the larger the population and percentage of Hispanic, Latino, or Latinx. Take a look at that map, analyze it. We're going to come back to it. All right, these are the top 11 Spanish-speaking states by percentage. Remember, this is by percentage. You can see the California is number 3, and we by far have the largest number, but by percentage of people who speak Spanish as their first language. And you can see New Mexico is number 1. If you've never been to New Mexico, it is a really fascinating place to go because it has this very heavy Spanish-speaking influence to it in so many different ways. It's really cool and interesting place. But take a look at that, the top 11. Now let's go back to the map. What are those 3 black arrows pointing at? What country are they pointing at? That would be Mexico, of course. And this makes all the sense in the world when you think about it, that the southwestern part of the United States borders Mexico. And what is the primary languages spoken in Mexico? Spanish, of course. So it makes all the sense in the world that there would be this overlap both of the people and the language. And in addition to that, the culture, the food, all of those things. And especially in California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. What state is that black arrow pointing at? That would be Florida. Now, why would Florida have a substantial population of people who speak Spanish and are Hispanic or Latino or Latinx, whatever terminology you'd like to use? It's not because it borders Mexico. It's because of the Cuban population, because we have a substantial Cuban American population. Those people began to come in 1959 with the revolution in Cuba, where Castro overthrew the existing government and many people fled the communist regime that came in. Well, what about in Illinois? Well, with Illinois, most of the people who are Hispanic, Latino are in Chicago, which makes sense. It's a big city. Then over here in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, well, a lot of these people are actually people from the Caribbean who speak Spanish. What is a Creole language? This is a language that results from the blending of 2 or more languages. You might even be able to feel where I'm going with this, especially if you live in Southern California. Spanglish, Spanglish. How many times have I walked across the campus at Santa Ana College and heard somebody walking by me on their phone, and they're flipping from English to Spanish to English to Spanish to English to Spanish. Just whatever word pops into their head that they use. That is what Spanglish or Spanglish is about. It's a gluing together of these languages, and it's almost creating its own language, a Creole language. The same thing happens in and around Quebec, which is in Canada. Quebec is a French-speaking province in Canada, but it's surrounded by English-speaking areas. And what ends up happening is English and French glue together, and it makes something called franglais. In French, the word for French is français. The word for English in French is anglais. So you can see what's happening. This is franglais. So these 2 languages mixing together. If you look at this map, you can see percentage of French speakers in and around the areas that border Quebec. Look at the state in the United States that has VT on it. Do you know which state that is, the VT? That would be Vermont. Think about it for a second. Vermont. Vermont. Green Mountain. That's right, it's French. In fact, there's even a coffee company in Vermont called Green Mountain Coffee. If you ever go to Burlington, which is kind of a cool town, it's in the northern part of Vermont, there are lots of people from Quebec who walk around there, and you hear people speaking French all the time. And because Quebec, the province itself, is surrounded by the English-speaking areas, the result is that English and French glue together, making this thing called franglais. I was in Nova Scotia at one point, and I flipped on the radio. The first music I heard was French music. It was very interesting. And some people actually spoke French there, or a combination of French and English. Along the French-German border region, there's a blending of languages also. Now, you obviously know that the French and the Germans have fought each other over and over and over in wars, taken over territory back and forth. If you look at the map on the left-hand side, you can see that the two states in France are called departments or départements that border Germany are Alsace and Lorraine. That's the names of the states, like California and Nevada. If you look at the right-hand side, you can see even the architecture in Strasbourg, which is in Alsace, looks very Germanic. And it's because the Germans and the French have gone back and forth and fought in that area. The result is that many of the people there speak a hybrid language, a Creole language called Alsatian, which is a mix of French and German. I speak a little bit of French. I don't really speak much German, maybe 100 words maximum of German that I know. But at the same time, when I hear this Alsatian spoken, it just jumps out because the person speaks like this: French, 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 German, German, French, German. And then the sentence ends. And then French, German, German, French, French, German, German, French. And then the sentence ends. It's just like they're just mixing these languages together. It's very cool to hear and very interesting. However, in France, there's a thing called the Académie Française. The Académie Française does not like the blending of other languages, especially English, with French. And so what they try and do is purify the language. It basically is a bunch of academics and intellectuals who don't want French getting eaten up by other languages. For example, what do we call Saturday and Sunday in English? We call that the weekend. I don't mean the pop star. I mean the weekend, okay? Do you know what they call that in French? Le weekend. But the Académie Française does not like this. And so what they've done is they have made, at least in technical official writing, they've made people write fin de semaine, which literally means end of the week in French, because they don't want people saying le weekend, because le weekend is a derivation of an English word. And there's lots of words like this that the Académie Française tries to clean up. Obviously, in English, we don't have anything like this. English is a language that just absorbs words from every language it comes in contact with, and the result is that English is the most wordy language in the world. There are multilingual states. That means that there are multiple languages in the country. Now, this can be a good thing, and this can be a bad thing, depending on how it's handled. Sometimes what happens is a country will sort of solidify a language by designating an official language. An official language is a language designated as the language of government, laws, road signs, money, stamps, and official reports. Do you know what the official language of the United States is? I'll wait. Who wants to answer? No answer? That's right, because there is no official language of the United States. Is that a shock to you? There is not one. However, English is an official language in, the last time I checked, 42 countries. Although in 26 of those, it's by no stretch of the imagination the most widely spoken language. Mostly, as you can probably guess, these are former British colonies. Things like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and a bunch of countries in Africa, especially southern Africa. This is Nigeria. So these are the main languages in Nigeria. And you can see that there are 3 different language families in Nigeria alone. 3 different families. We'll see what that means in a little while. But notice all those languages. But hold on to yourself. By some counts, there are actually about 500 languages in Nigeria. Most people who live in Africa are multilingual because they encounter languages with such frequency. Do you know what the official language is in Nigeria for the entire country? Hold on to yourselves. English. That's what I said. English is the official language. But there are other regional official languages as well. Switzerland has 4 official languages: German, French, Italian, Romansh. Now, 3 of these are related to each other. French, Italian, Romansh are all tied to each other. But German is a different branch of Indo-European languages. How do they handle this? In the smartest way you could handle it. Everybody who goes to school learns all the languages, even a little bit of Romansh. And by doing that, you have a multilingual population in a multilingual state. But this way, everybody can communicate with everybody else and no one feels left out. They do this from the time the children are very young because they have spongy brains that are easily able to absorb multiple languages. Belgium has 2 major languages. You can see the state is, or the country itself is split into 2 parts: Flanders in the north, Wallonia in the south. The people who live in Flanders speak Flemish, which basically is a version or a dialect of Dutch. They're almost exactly the same language. Some people say they are exactly the same language. And Dutch is what's spoken in the Netherlands. You can see that in the northern part of the map. In Wallonia, people speak French. Now, they try in Belgium to get everybody to speak both languages. The problem is that Flemish is a much more difficult language to learn than French. And most of the people who live in Wallonia do not have a handle on Flemish, whereas most of the people in Flanders do have a handle on French. And the result is that there are real serious tensions in Belgium because of language. And you have a multilingual state with only 2 languages. They have problems making it work. You have Switzerland with 4 languages, and they managed to make it work. So it's really about how you handle the languages.